The rain-slicked streets of San Francisco gleamed under the sodium glow of street lamps as Alex slammed the bar door behind him, his breath ragged, fists clenched like he was still fighting ghosts from the deck of that godforsaken destroyer. "You think scars make a man?" he snarled at the empty alley, but the words caught in his throat when he saw Jamie leaning against the brick wall, eyes wide with that mix of fear and fire that always undid him. In that split second, before the world could shatter again, Alex yanked open his navy jacket, the zipper's rasp cutting through the downpour like a confession, bearing the jagged white lines etched across his ribs, and there, pinned defiantly to the inside lining, the tiny rainbow enamel that had cost him everything. Jamie froze, rain tracing paths down his face like unshed tears, his hand hovering midair as if touching the pin might summon the storms they'd both buried. "Alex," he whispered, voice breaking on the edge of a sob. "You kept it? After all this time?" But before Alex could answer, the alley echoed with the screech of tires. A black SUV barreling toward them, headlights slicing the night like accusations, and in that blinding moment, Alex knew. Betrayal had found them, wearing the face of the brother he'd once called family. The downpour intensified as they bolted, hearts pounding in sync with the thunder, but it wasn't the rain that chilled Alex to the bone. It was the realization that the man who'd inked those scars into his skin, his own squadmate from the USS Reagan, had sold their secret for a shot at redemption neither of them could afford. San Francisco had a way of whispering promises in the fog, but tonight, it screamed warnings. Alex Harper had learned that lesson the hard way 2 years back, when he'd washed up on these shores like driftwood from a shipwrecked life. Back then, he'd been Petty Officer First Class Alexander Hawk Harper, all sharp salutes and sharper instincts, the kind of sailor who could navigate a typhoon blindfolded. But one rogue wave in the South China Sea had flipped that script, slamming him against the bulkhead with enough force to carve those scars deep. Physical ones, anyway. The deeper cuts, the ones that festered in the quiet hours, were courtesy of the don't ask, don't tell ghosts that still haunted the Navy's corridors, even after the policy's official death in 2011. He'd met Jamie Ellis on a whim, or so he'd told himself. It was a Tuesday in the Castro district, the heart of the city's queer pulse, where rainbow flags fluttered like defiant prayers against the Pacific chill. Alex had been nursing a whiskey at the Midnight Sun, a dive bar with walls papered in faded pride posters, trying to drown out the echo of boot camp drills. Jamie slid onto the stool next to him, all easy grins and tousled blonde hair that caught the neon like California gold. "You look like you just surfaced from a submarine full of regrets," Jamie had said, his voice carrying that laid-back SoCal lilt, the kind that made everything sound like an invitation. Alex had laughed, actually laughed, for the first time in months. Submarine? Nah, more like a destroyer with a grudge. They talked until last call, about everything and nothing. Jamie's gig as a graphic designer for indie bands, sketching album covers that bled emotion. Alex's sanitized tales of deployments, omitting the nights he'd lain awake in his bunk, heart racing not from enemy fire but from the brush of a fellow sailor's hand in the dark. By dawn, they were stumbling into Jamie's tiny Mission District apartment, the city skyline winking like it approved. That first kiss tasted like possibility. Salty from the fog, sweet from stolen sips of hope. Jamie's hands were gentle on Alex's skin, tracing the fresh scars from his accident like they were maps to buried treasure. "These tell a story," Jamie murmured against his neck, and Alex, for once, believed him. In Jamie's arms, the weight of hidden identities lifted, if only for a breath. They built a rhythm from there. Lazy Sundays at Dolores Park, where Jamie would sketch Alex napping under the palm trees, his navy jacket tossed aside like an old skin. Stolen weekends hiking the Marin Headlands, where the ocean's roar drowned out Alex's doubts. Jamie became the anchor Alex had lost at sea, the one who pinned that rainbow badge inside his jacket one foggy morning, whispering, "Wear it where it matters. For you, not the world." But secrets have a way of swelling like storm clouds. Alex's past wasn't content to stay submerged. Enter Marcus Reaper Kane, his old squadmate from the Reagan, the brother-in-arms who'd pulled him from the wreckage that night in the Strait. Marcus had been the one to stitch Alex's wounds with a pilfered med kit, cursing under his breath about damn waves and their bad timing. They'd shared bunks, beers, and burdens. Marcus the straight-arrow farm boy from Iowa. Alex the guarded city kid from Philly. What Marcus didn't know, or so Alex thought, was the depth of that bond. The way Alex's gaze lingered a beat too long during watch shifts, or how the rainbow pin had started as a joke from a Liberty port in Hawaii, a dare Alex took in the dead of night. Discharged honorably after the accident. Medical unfitness. The brass called it, with a pension that felt more like hush money. Alex had ghosted his old life. No calls to Marcus, no emails about the pins or the man who made them mean something. Until Marcus showed up unannounced 6 months ago, rolling into Frisco with a duffel and a grin, claiming he'd mustered out on a technicality and needed a couch. Alex, ever the soft touch, let him crash on the pullout in Jamie's living room. "Just till I get on my feet," Marcus promised, clapping Alex on the shoulder with that bone-crushing grip. Jamie was wary from the jump. "He looks at you like you're his North Star," he'd say, brow furrowed over takeout tie, but Alex waved it off. Loyalty ran deep in the service. You didn't question it. First, it worked. Marcus landed a gig bouncing at a Tenderloin club, his linebacker build turning heads and breaking noses in equal measure. The three of them fell into an uneasy truce. Poker nights where Marcus's bluffing skills rivaled his marksmanship, brunches at Tartine where Jamie's dry wit clashed with Marcus's corny jokes. Alex caught glimpses of envy in Marcus's eyes, the way he'd watch Jamie and Alex share a glance across the table, but chalked it up to homesickness. "You two are like something out of a damn Hallmark card," Marcus ribbed once, but his laugh didn't reach his eyes. Cracks formed slowly, like pressure ridges in pack ice. Marcus started lingering after Jamie headed to his design studio, pumping Alex for stories of their deployments, his questions veering too close to the nights they'd never spoken of. One evening, after too many IPAs at the bar, Marcus cornered Alex in the kitchen. "You ever think about what we left behind? The brotherhood." His voice was low, laced with something Alex couldn't name. Regret? Maybe, or resentment. Alex shrugged, heart thudding. "Brotherhood's what you make it, Reaper." Marcus's hand clamped on his arm, thumb pressing into the scar tissue. "Yeah, well, some things you can't just remake." Jamie noticed the shift, of course. "He's got ghosts, babe," Alex confessed one night, tangled in sheets that smelled of eucalyptus and ink. Jamie propped on an elbow, his fingers ghosting Alex's pin. "We all do, but his feel like they're haunting you." Alex kissed him to silence the worry, but the seed was planted. Marcus's presence grew heavier, his shifts at the club overlapping Jamie's late nights, leaving Alex to pace the apartment alone, the rainbow pin a talisman against the unease. Then came the whispers, a wrong number call from an old Navy buddy, slurring about Hawk's little secret in Cali. Alex hung up, pulse racing, but brushed it off as drunk talk, until the emails started, anonymous from a throwaway account. "We know about the pin. Tick-tock." Jamie found him deleting them at 3 a.m., eyes hollow. "This is him, isn't it?" Jamie said, voice steady but fists white-knuckled. Alex denied it, but the lie tasted like bilge water. The breaking point brewed on a crisp October evening, the kind where the city wrapped itself in autumn gold before the winter bite. Marcus had invited them to the club for amateur night, a spectacle of drag queens and fire breathers that promised distraction. Jamie demurred, deadline crunch at work, but Alex went, loyalty tugging like an undertow. The club pulsed with bass, bodies slick with sweat and strobe light. Marcus worked the door like a sentinel, his nod to Alex carrying weight. "Brought the thunder," he joked, but his eyes scanned the crowd like he was hunting shadows. Mid-set, during a queen's lip-sync to Dancing Queen, Alex felt it, a prickle at his nape, the instinct that had saved him in contested waters. He slipped outside for air, the alley reeking of garbage and regret. That's when the texts lit his phone. "Look behind you." He spun, but it was empty. Then Jamie's name flashed. "Where are you?" "Marcus just asked about your special accessory. Get out now." Heart in his throat, Alex bolted back inside, shoving through the throng. Marcus was at the bar, phone in hand, typing furiously. Their eyes locked, and in that beat, Alex saw it. The betrayal etched plain as his scars. Marcus's face crumpled, not with guilt, but fury. You think you can just sail away, Hawk? Leave me holding the bag for your choices. The words slurred, beer-fueled, but the venom was pure. Alex's world tilted. What the hell did you do? He lunged, but Marcus sidestepped, voice rising over the music. I told them, the Vets Association, the old CO, about the pin, the guy. Figured it'd get you back in line. Remind you what brotherhood means. The crowd hushed, heads turning like sharks scenting blood. Alex's hand flew to his jacket, fingers closing on the zipper. In that crush of noise and nausea, he yanked it open, baring the scars, the pin glinting like a challenge. Gasps rippled. Marcus recoiled as if burned. You want the truth? Alex roared, rain starting to patter on the fire escape above. This is it. This is me. He stormed out, the door banging like a cannon shot, into the alley where Jamie waited, umbrella in hand, eyes fierce with unspoken vows. But as they ran, tires screeched, the SUV materializing like a specter, Marcus's borrowed ride from the club owner, barreling to cut them off. Stop! Marcus bellowed from the window, face twisted in a mask of regret and rage. We can fix this. Jamie yanked Alex into a sprint, the downpour blinding, their hands locked in desperate tandem. Blocks blurred, Chinatown lanterns swinging like warnings, the Embarcadero's ferries hooting mournfully. They ducked into a shadowed doorway near the ferry building, chests heaving, Jamie's whisper cutting through. He's not done. Not by a long shot. Alex nodded, the pin cold against his skin, a beacon in the storm. But as sirens wailed in the distance, someone had called the cops on the disturbance at the club. He knew the real tempest was just cresting. Marcus's betrayal wasn't just words. It was a grenade with the pin pulled, and the shrapnel would tear through everything they'd built. Dawn broke over the bay like a reluctant apology, painting the waves in bruised purples and hesitant golds. Alex and Jamie had holed up in a cheap motel off Highway 101, the kind with flickering vacancy signs and walls thin enough to hear the neighbors' arguments. The room smelled of stale smoke and regret, but Jamie's presence made it sanctuary. His arms slung over Alex's waist as they lay on the lumpy bed, staring at water stains that mapped forgotten floods. We can't run forever, Jamie murmured, his breath warm against Alex's shoulder. But we don't have to fight alone. Alex traced the pin's edge through his jacket, now draped over the chair like a truce flag. I thought he was family. The words hung heavy, laced with the salt of old wounds. Marcus's face haunted him. Not the snarling one from the alley, but the boyish grin from their first deployment, sharing MREs under starless skies. How had envy festered into this? The anonymous emails suddenly made sense. Marcus, piecing together clues from half-remembered shore leaves, the pin he'd glimpsed once in a drunken haze. Choices, he'd called it, as if love was a tactical error. They checked out at noon, Jamie's credit card leaving a trail they both cursed. Back in the city, the mission buzzed oblivious. Tacos sizzling on food trucks, murals of Aztec warriors guarding brick facades. Jamie's apartment was untouched, Marcus's duffel gone. A scrawled note on the fridge, needed space. Sorry, bro. Alex crumpled it, knuckles white. Space? He torched our lives for space? The fallout hit like aftershocks. By evening, Alex's phone was a minefield. Voicemails from his old CO, clipped and concerned. Harper, there's chatter. Clear your name before it clears you. Then the Vets group chat exploded, screenshots circulating of Marcus's confession email, twisting Alex's service record into something sordid. Hawk's got a rainbow side hustle? One quipped. Laughter emojis followed like buckshot. Alex powered off the device, slamming it on the counter. Jamie pulled him close, their foreheads touching in the kitchen's harsh light. They're scared, Alex, of what you represent, real unbroken. But unbroken? Alex felt like shattered hull plating. That night, sleep evaded him, dreams replaying the alley. The pin's gleam, Marcus's recoil, the SUV's roar. He woke sweating, Jamie's hand steady on his chest. "Tell me about the scars," Jamie said softly, not for the first time. Alex hesitated, then spilled it. The storm off Taiwan, rogue wave cresting like God's fury, the ship listing as alarms wailed. Marcus dragged me out, held me together while the dock sewed me up. His voice cracked. Thought that made us even. Jamie listened, eyes reflecting the bedside lamp's glow. It did for him. But you're more than debts. He kissed Alex then, slow and anchoring, a reminder that love wasn't rationed like sea bags. They made coffee in the dim hours, plotting next moves. Jamie's friend Elena, a lawyer with pro bono fire, could file for harassment. Alex would face the Navy inquiry head-on. No more hiding. "The pin stays," Alex declared, affixing it back inside the jacket. "It's my compass now." Days blurred into a tense vigil. Marcus went radio silent, his club shifts covered by a string of temps. Whispers rippled through Frisco's underbelly. The Castro bars abuzz with rumors of a witch hunt against one of their own. Alex ventured out only for runs along Ocean Beach, pounding sand until his lungs burned. The Pacific's crash a bomb against the isolation. Jamie threw himself into work, designing a Pride poster series that channeled their chaos into art. Fists raised against storm clouds, rainbows piercing the dark. Then the knock came, 3 sharp raps on a Friday dusk, as fog rolled in like uninvited kin. Alex peered through the peephole. Marcus, disheveled, duffel slung over one shoulder, eyes shadowed like he'd been punching mirrors. "Hawk, please. 5 minutes." Jamie tensed beside him, hand on the chain lock. "Tell him to fuck off," he hissed. But Alex unlatched, curiosity a sharper blade than anger. "Talk." Marcus stepped in, dripping fog, his massive frame shrinking in the entryway. "I fucked up. Bad." The words tumbled out. How the discharge had gutted him, medical waiver for a bum knee from the same storm, leaving him adrift in civvy life. "Saw you with him, happy in a way I couldn't touch. Jealousy ate me alive. Thought outing you would drag you back, make us square." He rubbed his neck, scars from his own scrapes peeking from his collar. "Sent that email to the vet's board, anonymous-like. But it's blowing back. Threats online, my job tanking." Alex's laugh was bitter, echoing off the walls. "Welcome to the deep end, Reaper." Jamie crossed his arms, a sentinel in flannel. "You don't get absolution with a sob story. You nearly drowned us." Marcus nodded, gaze dropping to the floor. "I know. That's why I'm here, to pull the plug." He slid a USB drive across the coffee table. "Recordings. Me confessing to the board, retracting it all. Proof it's bullshit." The air thickened, trust a fragile thing. Alex pocketed the drive, jaw set. "Why now?" Marcus met his eyes, raw as open water. "Because brotherhood means owning your squalls. And I owe you that." He left with a nod to Jamie. "Take care of him." The door clicking shut like a hatch ceiling. They listened to the files that night, Marcus's voice gravelly with remorse, dismantling his own lies thread by thread. Tears pricked Alex's eyes, not from pain, but release. "He's human," he admitted to Jamie, who squeezed his hand. "Flawed as fuck, but trying." Jamie's smile was wry. "Doesn't make it right, but it's a start." Relief was fleeting. Monday brought the subpoena, Navy brass summoning Alex for a character review, triggered by Marcus's initial poison. Elena prepped him like a battle brief. "Stick to facts. The pins protected speech. Scars are service medals." Alex suited up in his civvies, the jacket a armor, pin hidden but humming with intent. Jamie drove him to the federal building in Hayes Valley, parking with a kiss that lingered. "Come back to me unbroken." The hearing room was sterile, fluorescent hum underscoring the panel's stairs. Retired admirals with salt and pepper mustaches, a jag sharp as a K-bar. Alex sat ramrod, recounting the storm, the discharge, the life rebuilt. When the pin came up, leaked via Marcus's email, the room tensed. "Petty Officer Harper, the lead admiral intoned. This accessory. It compromises unit cohesion. Alex's pulse thrummed, but he unzipped the jacket slow, deliberate, scars and pin bared under the lights. Gasps were muted but real. Sir, it compromises nothing. It honors who I am, the man who served beside you, who bled for the flag. Hiding it? That compromised me. Silence stretched. Then the admiral nodded, almost imperceptibly. Noted. They recessed, leaving Alex hollowed but unbowed. Outside, Jamie waited with coffee, their embrace a harbor. You slayed dragons in there? He teased, but his eyes shone proud. Word spread like wildfire through vet networks. By week's end, the review cleared Alex. No reprimands, just a quiet nod to evolving times. Marcus surfaced too, emailing coordinates for a meet at Baker Beach, sunset hour. Alex went alone, Jamie's trust a tailwind. The sand was cool, waves gnashing like unresolved chords. Marcus stood at the water's edge, stones skipping from his hand. Heard you showed the goods. His grin was tentative. Yeah. Alex joined him, skipping a flat rock that danced 4 times. Thanks for the Hail Mary, Marcus shrugged. Least I could do. But Hawk, about us, back then. The air stilled, the unspoken cresting. Alex's heart stuttered. Had Marcus known? Felt it too? Reaper But Marcus cut in, voice rough. I buried it. For the mission. But seeing you free? Made me face mine. He turned, eyes wet with horizon light. I'm enlisting private security. Stateside. Clean break. Alex clasped his forearm. The old salute. Fair winds, brother. They parted with that, the ocean swallowing their goodbyes. Home brought Jamie's arms, dinner of sourdough and clam chowder from Boudin. To new chapters, Jamie toasted, clinking bottles. But as night fell, Alex's phone buzzed. An unknown number. Text Stark. Not over. Watch your 6. Attached, a grainy photo. Him and Jamie at the motel, time-stamped from their escape. Marcus? No, the angle screamed setup. Paranoia coiled, but Jamie's hand in his grounded it. We'll weather it, he vowed. Little did they know. The real gale was gathering force, winds howling from a quarter neither anticipated. November swept in with a vengeance, leaves skittering across Golden Gate Park like fleeing confidences. Alex and Jamie hunkered down, the apartment a fort of drawn blinds and deadbolts. The anonymous text a specter neither could shake. Elena dug into it. IP traces leading to a burner, no prints. But her advice was steal. Document everything. And live, damn it. Don't let fear captain the ship. So they tried. Jamie's poster series launched at a Castro gallery. Vibrant cries against erasure that drew crowds and queer icons alike. Alex manned the door, jacket zipped tight, but the pin thrummed like a second pulse, emboldening him to chat with patrons, share laughs that felt dangerously normal. Yet normalcy was a mirage. Marcus checked in sporadically, his new gig in Oakland a buffer, texts laced with caution. Eyes open, Hawk. Rumors of old brass stirring shit. Alex replied sparingly, trust mending slow as scar tissue. The photo gnawed at him. Who else knew their bolt hole? A tale from the hearing? Or deeper, a grudge from the service's underbelly, where Don't Ask's repeal hadn't scrubbed the prejudice clean. Climax brewed on Thanksgiving Eve, the city alight with prep and pageantry. Jamie's family, progressive transplants from Portland, hosted a potluck in No Valley, rainbow turkeys and queer kin filling the Craftsman house with warmth. Alex hesitated at the door, jacket heavy, but Jamie's nudge propelled him in. You're home here, he said, and for an hour, it rang true. Toasts to resilience, Aunt Lila's stories of Stonewall spillover, cousins grilling Alex on Navy lore with wide-eyed awe. He unzipped midway through pie, the pin catching candlelight, drawing nods not stares. Brave ink? An uncle murmured, clinking his glass. But as plates cleared, Alex's phone vibrated in his pocket. A call from an unknown Bay Area exchange. He stepped onto the porch, fog tendrils curling like fingers. Harper. The voice was gravel, familiar yet warped. Captain Elias Thorne, his old CO from the Reagan, retired to wine country but still pulling strings like a puppet master. Heard you've been colorful. The word dripped disdain. Alex's grip tightened. Sir. To what do I owe? Cut the sir. That stunt at the hearing? Ballsy. Stupid. Thorne's laugh was a bark. But Kane's little retraction? Doesn't erase facts. I've got logs, shore leave anomalies, your associations. One word to the right ears and that pension vanishes. Family too. The threat landed like a depth charge. Alex's mind reeled. Thorne, the hard-ass who'd overlooked the storm's lapses, now weaponizing whispers? Why? He choked. Because the Navy's no place for rainbows, son. And neither's my legacy. Click. Alex stood frozen, porch light haloing his silhouette, until Jamie found him, concern etching lines. Babe. Alex relayed it, voice hollow. Jamie's face hardened. He's bluffing. Elena can. No. Alex's eyes blazed. This ends now. Impulsively, he dialed Marcus, voicemail beeping urgent. Then Thorne again, but it rang out. Fury propelled him, jacket on, keys snatched. Stay here, he told Jamie. But Jamie grabbed his arm. Like hell. We're in this squall together. They drove north, Jamie at the wheel of his battered Civic, headlights carving the fog-shrouded 101. Thorne's address was public record. A sprawling vineyard in Sonoma, grapes heavy with autumn's promise. The estate loomed at dusk, iron gates ajar like a taunt. Alex buzzed the intercom, voice steady. Harper, we need to talk. Silence. Then the gates whirred open. Gravel crunched under tires as they ascended, manor lights winking through vines. Thorne waited on the veranda, scotch in hand, his frame still ramrod despite the years. Bold move, sailor. His eyes flicked to Jamie, disdain curling his lip. Brought the +1? Alex stepped forward, rain starting to spit. This is about truth, sir. Not legacies. Thorne snorted, gesturing them inside. A study paneled in oak, walls lined with commendations and Reagan photos. Alex's younger face staring back accusatory. You think a pin changes duty? Thorne poured measures, shoving glasses across the desk. Jamie declined, arms crossed. Alex sipped, the burn steadying. Duty's what I gave. Storms, sorties. Silence when it killed me. Words poured then, the dam cracking. Hidden glances at Marcus, the pin's origin in a Honolulu dive. The love for Jamie that healed what the sea broke. Thorne listened, face impassive, but his scotch trembled. I buried boys like you, he admitted finally, voice low. Friendly fire cover-ups, discharges dressed as mercies. Thought I was protecting the fleet. Jamie spoke then, voice even. And now? You're torching one of your own to protect what? Pride. Thorne's gaze sharpened, then softened, age's weight showing. Kane came to me, confessed his mess, begged for leverage to fix it. I twisted it. The admission hung, a confession mirroring Marcus's. Alex's hand found Jamie's, anchor in the gale. Undo it. Call off the hounds. Thorne drained his glass, staring at a faded photo. His son, lost to a hello crash in the Gulf. He was like you, kept it locked down. The room stilled, grief raw as open wounds. I'll make the calls, pension stays, but Harper live loud. For him, a nod to the empty frame. They left under clearing skies, the vineyard's scent clinging like absolution. In the car, Jamie exhaled. That was intense. Alex leaned head back, pin pressing comfort. Humanity in the foxhole. But as they merged onto the highway, headlights flared in the rearview. A tail, black SUV unmistakable. Shit, Jamie muttered, flooring it. The chase ignited. 101 curving wild, fog banks swallowing exits. The pursuer ramming close enough to kiss bumpers. Who? Alex yelled over the engine's scream. Jamie swerved, tires shrieking. Thorne's muscle? Or? Horns blared as they weaved Sausalito traffic. The SUV gaining. A passenger window cracking. Muzzle flash? No, just glare but fear-propelled. They ditched at the bridge tolls, bolting on foot into Presidio woods, branches whipping. Panting behind a redwood, Jamie's whisper, "Phone's dead. Yours." Alex checked, smashed in the scuffle. Sirens wailed distant, but the SUV idled at the plaza, searching. Minutes stretched eternal, hearts thunderous. Then, footsteps crunching leaves. A figure emerged. Not Thorne's goon, but Marcus, jacket soaked, eyes wild. "Get in." He waved them to a parked truck, engine humming. They piled in, peeling out as the SUV gave futile chase. "Tracked your ping," Marcus explained, glancing mirrors. Thorne's cleaner confessed, "Hired that rig to scare you quiet. I intercepted." Jamie gripped the dash. "You?" How Marcus's jaw set. "Old habits. Oh, you double now." The drive south was taut, radio crackling cop chatter. At a turnout overlooking the bay, they stopped, adrenaline ebbing to exhaustion. "Why risk it?" Alex asked, voice thick. Marcus shrugged, sheepish. "Told you, brotherhood." He clapped Alex's shoulder, then nodded to Jamie. "Keep him honest." With that, he vanished into the night, taillights fading like a lifeline cast. Back home, dawn gilding the skyline, Alex and Jamie collapsed into bed, limbs entwined. "We're okay," Jamie breathed, but Alex felt the tremor, the storm's eye, deceptive calm. Thorne's calls came by noon. Retractions filed, the tail called off. Peace fragile as sea glass. Yet in quiet moments, Alex wondered. Was betrayal's root jealousy, fear, or something lonelier? Marcus's intervention hinted grace, but scars, emotional ones, lingered, a map to navigate. Winter deepened, holidays a haze of mended fences. They hosted a solstice gathering, Castro friends toasting resilience. The pin now worn openly on Alex's jacket lapel. Laughter echoed, but undercurrent hummed. Anonymous cards in the mail, winds change, and signed. Jamie burned them, but worry etched. "New year, new us," he declared on New Year's Eve, fireworks bursting over the bay. Alex pulled him close amid the cheers, kiss sealing vows unspoken. But as embers fell, a shadow stirred. The past, not done whispering. January's chill bit deep, frost rhyming the bay windows of their apartment like fragile bars. Alex woke to Jamie's sketching, charcoal flying over paper. Portraits of them both, scars and smiles intertwined. The rainbow pin a focal star. "For the series finale," Jamie explained, smudging shadows. "Humanity in the lines." Alex watched, chest swelling. In Jamie's gaze, he saw redemption not as erasure, but embrace. Yet the cards persisted, subtle escalations. Sailors sink with a faded Reagan postcard. Elena traced them to a P.O. box in the Presidio, registered to a ghost, Thorne's old yeoman, a bitter retiree nursing grudges. "We end this," Alex said over breakfast burritos from La Cocina. The mission's hum a comforting drone. Jamie nodded, but his eyes held caution. Together, they met Elena at her office in the financial district, skyscrapers looming like judgmental admirals. Files spread. The yeoman, Harlan Voss, discharged in '09 for conduct unbecoming. Whispers of his own hidden truths. "He's Thorne's echo," Elena said, tapping photos. "Harassing to protect the old guard." Plan hatched. Confrontation recorded with backup from a PI pal. The meet was set at the Presidio's Officers Club, neutral ground amid golf greens and ghosts. Voss arrived punctual, wiry frame in an ill-fitting blazer, eyes darting like minnows. Alex and Jamie sat across, Elena's bug humming in Alex's cuff. "Card stop now," Alex opened, voice even. Voss smirked, toothpick rolling. "Truth hurts, Harper. Navy's for men, not parades." Jamie leaned in, calm fire. "Men like you? Hiding behind postcards? That's the parade." Voss flushed, spittle flying. "I served clean. You flaunt." But Elena's voice cut from the shadows, recorder raised. "And now you're caught dirty. Harassment charges pending." Voss bolted, Chair scraping but security. Tipped by the PI, nailed him at the door. Handcuffs clicked like final salute. As cops hauled him, Voss spat. "You'll sink anyway." Tides turn. But his venom fizzled, empty as spent brass. Aftermath washed clean. Voss pled out community service and a gag order. Thorne sent a letter, stiff but sincere, apologizing, enclosing a donation to the Trevor Project. Marcus visited once. Spring thaw greening the hills. Beers on the balcony overlooking the bay. "Clean slate?" he asked, clinking bottles. Alex grinned, pin glinting. "As clean as Frisco fog." Marcus lingered on Jamie, a quiet respect. "You too. You're the real deal." He shipped out soon after, private contract in D.C., but promised ports of call. Spring bloomed defiant, cherry blossoms dusting the Presidio paths where Alex and Jamie walked, hands laced. Alex took a job at a vet center in the Haight, counseling sailors transitioning to civvy seas, his scars and pin badges of authenticity. "Telling your story saves ships," a kid told him once, eyes wide. Jamie's exhibit toured, posters of fractured lights mending, sales funding queer youth arts. Their life wove richer. Road trip to Big Sur, waves crashing as they vowed forever on a cliffside. Rings simple silver with engraved compasses. Yet depth lingered. One June Eve, Pride Month cresting, Alex stood at the Castro Parade's edge, jacket open, pin proud amid the floats and feathers. Jamie beside him, arm round waist. Marcus texted from afar, marching in spirit. Fair winds. As confetti rained, Alex lifted his jacket fully. Not in defiance, but declaration. Scars bared to the sun, story etched for all. A kid nearby, maybe 10, pointed, "Cool badge." His dad smiled, nodding. In that instant, Alex saw it. The humanistic arc, betrayal's blade dulled by forgiveness, conflict yielding to connection. Not all storms end in rainbows unbroken. Some leave clouds, reminders to batten hatches. But Alex and Jamie? They sailed on, love the keel, emotions the wind, dramatic, thrilling, a romance as vast as the Pacific. In quiet nights, tangled in sheets, Alex would trace Jamie's jaw, whispering, "You saw me first." Jamie's reply always, "And I'll see you last." The pin stayed, hidden no more. A beacon, proving that even in America's churning tides, scars could stitch into something luminous, human, whole. As summer haze settled, they planned a wedding, small. On that pier where it began, Foghorn's blessing. Invites went out. Elena, Jamie's kin, even Marcus on leave. Betrayals faded to footnotes. Climaxes roar to memory's murmur. Life, they learned, wasn't plot without pause. The romantic breath between waves, where vulnerability bloomed human, enduring. And in the end, it was enough.